You know what really impressed me was because a lot of people I know usually DM me and they try and get in touch with me for a collaboration, or they try and speak to me. But I love the way how Feminista never wrote to me. They first wrote to my agency, which goes to show how professional you guys are. And thank you so much for doing that, because usually it makes my work a lot more easier when it comes through an agent, whoever it is that she wants me to get in touch with. And I'm so glad that I'm here today with all of you guys. Honestly, I haven't prepared anything because this is supposed to be an impromptu thing, and I'm sure that you have a set of questions to ask me, so I'm really all geared up.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for your warm words. It means a lot.
So here goes the story. I was trying for films for a long time. I graduated from college from Manipal University in 2013, and in 2014 I had around 2013 December, I had made up my mind that I wanted to pursue modeling and I wanted to do acting. I basically wanted to become an actor. Actually, I never wanted to become a model, but I thought that modeling would help me transition into films. And I was around 75 to 80 kilos, and I really desperately wanted to lose weight because that was the order of the day even then. Mostly then. Now things are of course changing. So I had decided to lose a lot of weight. I worked out a lot and I lost about 20-24 kilos. And I started applying to all the agencies in India, and nothing worked out for me because there was always something. They told me, oh, I think you still have a lot of fat on the arms to reduce, or you still have a tummy that needs to go. And there were all kinds of things. So you're too dusky for films, or you're too skinny, and somebody would tell me that no, you're not skinny, or I think you're not perfect. So there were all these excuses that people would make when they wanted to reject me for something, and I'm okay with rejection because rejections only make you stronger. So I kept thinking that if it's not happening my way, it's okay. And I honestly didn't feel too bad about it at the time, but later, as time goes by, because I spent 5 years of my life doing this, my parents would always ask me if I could have utilized this time to study or to go abroad and pursue whatever it is that I wanted to do. But I always told them that this is what I wanted to do, and I'm so glad that my hard work has finally paid off. I've actually had like a fairy tale sort of story with Sabya sir, because I had totally given up on modeling or anything of that sort because I started gaining weight. I was constantly rejected, and there was a point when I gave up and I had told myself that I'm not going to succumb to all these pressures, and I'm just going to be myself. And I gradually gravitated towards my natural body weight because I was always on the curvier side. Of course, when I was growing up, I was skinny, but after a point, you get the curves and you know that you're a curvy girl. There are all kinds of girls in this world. You're a curvy girl, you're a skinny girl, and I think all of us must embrace our bodies, no matter who you are and what you are, where you come from, and what your skin tone is, or whatever it is. You must always embrace yourself. So I was quite, I was quite excited that I had met Sabya and I got a chance to take a picture with him. And I just gone back home feeling really happy and elated. 2 months later, I got a call from his team asking me to come to Calcutta for a test shoot because Sabya sir had liked me when he saw me first at the jewelry exhibition. I knew that he had liked me because he gave me so much confidence even when I was around him the first time. He appreciated my skin tone, he appreciated my body type, and he told me that I look beautiful and I don't have to worry about not looking conventional, and that I was a pretty girl, that I was a beautiful woman, and he was a really nice person to talk to. But these are the things that you already knew. I mean, knowing his line of work, I had already heard enough about his generosity and his kindness and his wonderful show Band Baja Bride. I had heard so much about it and I had watched these shows, so I knew that he was a nice person, but I never knew that he was going to change my life and he was going to give me the opportunity and help me channelize all my all my frustrations, because I was so frustrated after 5 years. Initially it didn't feel so bad because I thought, okay, एक बार ही होता है, it's fine. If you're rejected once, it's okay. But then I kept getting all these rejections and I kept thinking to myself that this is it. And he gave me the opportunity. And what was really overwhelming was after the first campaign was out, I kept receiving a lot of messages and texts from women across the world appreciating me, appreciating my body type. They were able to recognize with me, like they were able to say that okay, somebody who looks like us, which is why we feel so happy that she's on a Sabya page, because all said and done, Sabya is one of the best wedding couture designers in India
Definitely.
and around the world. So they were happy to see someone like me on his page, which goes to show that, you know, the designer of that stature was able to accept and embrace and celebrate a woman of my size on his page and in his brand. Like, I keep joking around with my friends that I've been a skinny girl and I've been a curvy girl, and I've enjoyed being curvy every single time. So yeah.
Wow, that sounds like a phenomenal transformation and a roller coaster ride that you went through.
That's right.
Emotionally, physically, everything.
That's right.
Yeah. So, having your Bollywood-like story with Sabya spotting you and then moving on with this journey, you started applying, as you mentioned, you started applying and auditioning at various modeling agencies at a very young age. You were just 19, I assume, right?
Yeah. So I had just finished college because I went to college quite early in my life. I went to college when I was 16, and I finished college when I was 19, and I started applying to all these agencies when I was 20. So,
So, what challenges did you face during that period? Because you said that some people said you were too curvy to fit into the plus size criteria, or too skinny to get to not skinny enough in that other criteria.
Absolutely. I think you've done your research well. What happened was, I was called an in-between. You understand what I'm saying? They used to call me an in-between because I was neither too skinny, even though I'd lost a lot of weight, because you know the curves still show. I was neither too skinny nor was I too curvy. And I, at the time, to be honest, I don't think even if I was curvy back then, they would have accepted me, because there was no plus size industry then, not even in America. This was 5 years ago or 6 years ago. So, but I was so disappointed, you know, because I had, you know, losing weight, I would, is a struggle. And I know a lot of women, there are also women who message me and they go like, you know, instead of promoting obesity, why don't you just encourage women to lose weight? And I tell them that it's not easy. It's not easy when you don't love and accept yourself. So the first step to losing weight or getting fit, first of all, I don't like the term losing weight. I don't understand, like, lose weight and do what? I think it's important that all of us embrace our bodies and try and get in the kind of shape that our body is naturally inclined towards. So if I'm a curvy girl, it's better for me that I still work out. I go for a walk. I sometimes do weight training. I sometimes go for a run, and I do all kinds of things. And I enjoy doing these things because I like doing them, and I don't necessarily do them now because I have to lose weight. I don't like the term at all. I think it's important that you don't diet and that you actually take care of yourself and you eat well. Like, you don't have to conform to the society's standards of beauty, because they will keep changing.
Definitely,
they've always keep changing. If you're fair, they'll tell you you're too fair, or you're too pale, or you're too what. If you're dusky, they'll tell you you're too dusky, or you're too this, or you're too that. If you're skinny, they'll tell you ye suki hai, ye lakdi hai, ye haddi hai. If you're curvy, or if you are overweight, they'll tell you that, you know, you are bahut moti hai, ye hai, wo hai. They will always have all kinds of things to tell you. At the end of the day, it's important that you love and celebrate yourself, and it will reflect.
These are words to live by, Varshita. You have given me such amazing food for thought. So, coming from the fashion industry now, what are the popular and radical, the very toxic beauty standards of the Indian fashion industry that you have come across, you have seen? And do you believe those stereotypical conformative structures are changing? Because sometimes I think, like one of the comments have mentioned, that body positivity is somehow commercialized now. People are starting to make money off of this thing instead of spreading the positive message that is to be out there, like love your body irrespective of whatever size it is.
You know, I keep saying in my interviews that being a plus size model or being plus size, it's not a fad, it's here to stay. I keep telling everyone that I'm trying to normalize this term. You honestly, I keep saying plus size even though I abhor the term. The reason I don't like the term is because why do you have to differentiate between me and somebody who's a size 4 or a size 2 or a size 6? I mean, why can't all of us be referred as models? I mean, we're in this profession, in this magnificent fashion industry, and we're all here to work for the same designers. We're all here to wear the same clothes in different sizes, because we all have different shapes and sizes. So why can't all of us collectively be called models? Which is what which is what my fight is.
Being your authentic self and showing the real picture to the real world is so important, because there are girls who idealize women they see on catalogs and magazines without
That's-
knowing what goes behind the scene. But I would also like to know that what were the toxic things that you came across that the beauty industry and the fashion world is still hides over their
I
positive
think one of
image?
the two, I would only discuss two. Two very prominent ones would be mainly they like to usually hire women who are. I'm talking about this back in the day because my experience after Sabya has been very pleasant. So I can
Okay.
only say that now I'm with a great agency that really accepts me and
Mhm.
loves me for who I am, and they're very supportive of. But my experience 5 years ago was very different. Two things that I've come across that people in India are still obsessed with, and not just the fashion industry or the movie industry in India. And one of them would be that people still have this socially constructed notion. People still believe in it that if you are fair, you're beautiful.
Mhm.
That fair is beautiful.
Yeah.
I am still appalled by people who think that way, because there are so many women out there who are very, very, very beautiful, and they're all dusky. I mean, how beauty is so subjective. How do you define beauty?
Yeah.
The second most important thing that I've come across, even in daily life, is that people judge you by your body weight. If you are slightly overweight and if you're not married, the first thing they'll always tell you is that the reason you're not getting married is because you weigh so much, and that you need to lose weight so much, or that the curves that there are, when you have love handles, they come and tell you that these need to go, or if you have a chubby face, they tell you that this needs to go off, or that you won't find a groom, or that you're not pretty enough, or that you won't be taken seriously by your colleagues. And sometimes I know that a lot of women also get bullied at workplace because they are because they are of a certain weight, and that's really quite disturbing. So I'd say two most important things that I see, not just that is prevalent, not just in the fashion industry but in India in general, is colorism, wherein you're judged by the color of your skin, and second would be your body weight. So people are just really obsessed with fair and thin women. When I think of these things, I realize that by the society standards, I'm a complete failure. But that's what I'm trying to tell people, that you have to run your own race. You can't just rely and depend on other people to set targets and goals for you. You need to run your own race, and you need to be someone who is so confident that this person that you've become, you are no longer, your glow is not diminished by other people's opinions of you.
Definitely. Everyone should be celebrated irrespective of what they are. So moving on to the next question, like you talked about colorism. One thing that I came across really boggled my mind. So in one of your interviews, you mentioned that when you moved to Hyderabad to try your luck in movies, and I'm going to quote you on this sentence. You said, no director wanted to take me because according to them, I looked too South Indian.
Yes.
A director in South of India saying that you are too South Indian is not just absurd. It's so colorist and it is so racist in the sense that it just boggles my mind when I read this thing. How did you battle all these nasty comments and insensitive jibes that came your way?
I just feel, I know, because I'm sorry I'm cutting you right there, but it's just that, some of my friends jokingly tell me that maybe it was not so bad for me because we've seen worse. The movie industry, even in the fashion industry, there are a lot of girls who go through worse things than I have. But of course, every single time, because you're always, you see what happens when you're trying to make a career in the fashion industry or in the movie industry. You're definitely trying to fit in. You're trying to become this person that the industry is expecting you to be. There's always an ideal standard that you're supposed to follow and become. So when I started trying for films in South India, I only went to Hyderabad thinking that I have a grasp of the language. I'm from Andhra Pradesh. I can speak Telugu. Maybe it'll be easier for me to get into films in South India, and because I knew that the hustle in Bombay was harder.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, I realized that people over there, some of them were so narrow-minded and backward that one of them actually asked me. I remember getting in touch with one of these agents, and he actually asked me to pretend like I didn't know how to speak Telugu, to tell people that I was from Delhi, which was true because I was from Delhi. I've never really lived in South India. I was only 4 when my parents moved to Delhi. So he asked me to tell people that I'm from Delhi and to never reveal that I could speak Telugu, because I would then have an upper hand in getting these auditions, because they preferred girls from Delhi and Bombay, and that really hurt me, because they were not willing to take a South Indian woman in a South Indian film. Because and when you talk to these producers and directors, because some of them were my friends also, some of these upcoming directors were my friends, and they would tell me that we only give what the market demands, and they like to see these fair, like you say, fair, slim, trim, like how Seema Taparia from Bombay, the matchmaker, says it. They wanted to see these fair, slim, trim girls next to their muscular, dark South Indian heroes. So that's what the audience wanted to see. They said, you don't fit in the picture. Even if we have you on screen, I don't think a lot of people would be interested in seeing you, and we won't have the market that we need for big films, for big commercial films. And I was always so disappointed, I was so disappointed by not just these directors and producers in general, but also these people who demanded films to be made a certain way, where women were supposed to look a certain way because of the current beauty standards. And that really hurt me, because for generations these movies have been made, and if you watch these movies, at least I think in the earlier times, we at least had in South Indian films, we had South Indian heroines. But I don't know suddenly what happened after 80s. Since the 80s, if you see, we've only had fair looking girls from Bombay or Delhi on these films, on these South Indian films, and that really hurt me, because all my dreams and hopes were shattered. I kept thinking that Bombay would be harder, but this was much harder, because the people were not accepting of someone like me. They kept calling me unconventional. I still don't get the term. What makes me unconventional? Maybe because some people tell me, some nicer ones would call me exotic, but there were other people who would tell me that you're not pretty, you're not this, you're not that. That's what I'm trying to. So eventually, what I've come to understand in life is that no matter how great you are, how great looking you are, how beautiful you are, there's always going to be somebody who's not going to like you or accept you for the way you look, and they're always going to pinpoint what's wrong with you. So it's always important that you celebrate yourself, love yourself, have enough confidence that you're not that you don't buy into other people's opinions of you.
So, as you said, that our society is built with unsolicited advice that we usually get from uncles and aunties and every other person, to be honest. So, in your adolescent and formative years of life, were you ever given unsolicited advice by the also concerned aunties and uncles?
All the time, because I used to go back to South India for the vacations. In the summer vacations, we used to go back home to our nanny's house. And you'd play with the neighbors' kids, and then the neighbors would be around, and you're interacting with a lot of people there. And I was obviously this complexion from the beginning, so I was always asked, people would say, oh, your cousin is so fair and pretty, how come you're not fair? Then I would always have people ask me, because my father's actually fair, and I would actually always have people ask me. There are lots of great, amazing people in here who value you, who appreciate your body, and who like confident women. But I still feel that you might be told that if you were fairer or slimmer, you would have had better chance at a career. But I don't believe in any of this bullshit. I just want women to know that they need to focus more on their personalities and less on how they look, or how they look, or how they feel about their bodies. I think it's most important that you groom yourself well and present yourself well with some good thoughts and positivity.
Definitely, because it's just when you have a charming personality, and I think it is enhanced with your beauty, it matters what's in the inside at the end of the day, doesn't it? So how has since we are on the topic on self-love, how has your journey been with self-love? Did it take for someone to notice you and believe in you to make you realize that you were beautiful, or did it come from within?
I think it came after the fact. When I faced too many rejections, it came from the act of letting go. Sometimes what happens is you don't need another person to come and tell you to cease. It comes naturally to you, organically. It's an organic process, because when you're constantly rejected for so many number of years, and you finally start to let go, and you're on this journey of letting go, you come to realize that it's not important for you or for anyone else to look a certain way. So you decide that,
Yeah.
I'm going to let go and I'm going to appreciate my body. I'm going to eat whatever it is that I like, and I'm going to do
Yeah.
whatever it is that I want. And I'm going to completely own all the clothes that I'm going to wear. I'm going to go out there being confident. And that's exactly what happened to me. And fortunately, I think it's probably, I believe a lot in alignment. So I feel that, the moment I was really in alignment with my positive thoughts, Sabya came into the picture and he helped me.
Yeah.
He helped me showcase that positivity and that body positivity and that confidence with his campaigns. And I'm quite grateful to him, because if it wasn't for him, I don't know who would have given me that opportunity. But I feel like it happened a little before Sabya. I think I had started to develop that confidence. That's what I'm trying to tell women. Before thinking, I'm not asking you to not go to the gym or not work out or not to give your 100%. I want you to do all of that. But before you start doing that, whatever you are or however you look, like yourself in that. I see a lot of my friends also buying clothes that are 4 or 5 sizes small, and I keep telling them that instead of doing that, buy a pretty dress in your size, like in your current body size. Wear it, own it, have confidence, go out there and have fun, like kill it, like have a great time, and then come back and stride towards wanting to whatever it is, it's up to you. Whatever your goal is, whatever it is that you wanted to do it, but do it while you're feeling happy about your body. Don't loathe yourself. Don't loathe your skin tone. Don't feel bad about what you've already been given.
What words of wisdom would you tell young Varshita in her formative years?
If I could go back 5 years, I would tell myself not to run so much on the treadmill, because it was all not worth it.
Okay.
That's all.
That's nice. But
I put in too much effort. I tried to become something that I wasn't. And I would tell myself to eat whatever it is that I wanted, because I was on an extreme diet where I could hardly eat anything, barely ate anything. And I feel bad now because, I think the 20s are your best time to eat anything and everything that you want. 20s and your 30s. So I think I missed out on a lot of time not eating stuff. And I'm trying to make up these days. So I would tell myself to eat whatever it is that I wanted to eat.
Yeah. Treat yourself.
Yes.
So, also, one last thing. For all the aspiring women and girls who want to make it big in the fashion world, what piece of advice do you have for them?
Again, I'd say that, really be confident. If you ask me logistically, what are the steps that you need to take? I think it's important that you first really feel confident about who you are, embrace yourself, wear the kind of clothes that make you feel comfortable. Do not wear clothes just because it's in trend or because people are wearing it or because you feel like you will attract someone by dressing in a certain way. I don't think, because all of us have got a unique way of styling ourselves, and I think style is more important than fashion. Style is unique, style is personal, so it's always more important than fashion or the ever-changing fashion trends. Secondly, I would ask them, if I were to guide someone, because this is something I keep getting, if I were to guide someone, I would ask them to be prepared for rejections, because not only in this industry or any other industry, like I still haven't made it as an actor, so I'm sure you would know that I still keep getting rejected a lot. So it's important that you keep all these rejections aside and remind yourself why you're doing this and who you are and why you want to do this. So these are very important questions that you need to ask yourself. Thirdly, I think it's quite necessary that you get in touch, because you see a lot of great photographers these days, these upcoming photographers who are looking for models to shoot. So please, Instagram, social media is a very important tool. So it's always nice to get in touch with all these photographers and these makeup artists and try and collaborate with them and do a shoot wherein all three of you are benefited from it, and you give your 100% and you make sure that you're working with people who share the same values and ideas, and then you come up with something nice, so that you can always put in these you can always use these photographs not only to promote yourself on Instagram, because a lot of these casting agents and these bookers and a lot of these people check your Instagram is your resume these days, so they always check your Instagram page if they want to know more about you or if they want to see what you look like. So it's always nice that you have a great, I think social media is your thing, so always make sure that you're investing a lot of time on it professionally, and use the time to do something productive, like put in good pictures of you or whatever pictures you think you want to present yourself with, and make sure that you also send them out to a lot of agencies, modeling agencies in India. These days we've had a lot of new agencies, so make sure that you send them
Yeah.
to the new agencies in India. And you can always, keep doing a lot of these test shoots to improve your posture or to improve your way of presenting yourself before the camera and to get more confident. So these are the few things that you need to do, and I'm sure that when you don't give up, things will change. Things will definitely take a turn, and you will get the kind of success that you're looking for. It might not happen at the beginning, but it'll slowly start to happen. So it all depends on how much hard work you're willing to put in and how much confidence you have.